To better understand how visual hierarchy works specifically in logo design, we need to talk about propositional density. Here we think of the relationship and the proportion between the amount of elements in a logo and the amount of underlying or hidden meanings packed into them. Take this logo, for instance, from Barack Obama's 2008 presidential campaign, which is a brilliant example of how the amount of meanings can far outweigh the amount of elements used. And we talk about propositional density. The meanings usually we refer to as deep propositions, and the actual elements that are used in the design we call surface propositions. And there is a very simple mathematical equation to get the actual propositional density. You just simply have to count how many deep propositions you can find and then divide that number with the amount of surface propositions. So essentially, count the number of meanings you can find and divide it with the number of elements used in the design. So in case of this logo, we can find 10 meanings and only 3 elements that are used. So the equation is 10 divided by 3, which results in a number higher than 3. Now, even if you can achieve the propositional density to be higher than 1, you are already doing a great job. But as you can see, in this case, there were more than 3 times as much meanings as the actual elements. This is, of course, an exceptionally good example for propositional density. But just to show you the other extreme, here is a logo which is obviously much weaker in terms of propositional density. And here that number is most likely below 1 because there are more elements than meanings. And without counting it, we can just immediately see that we have the bald eagle and the American flag, which basically carries exactly the same meaning of patriotism. Similarly, we have the text "In God We Trust" here at the bottom, but then we also have the Bible and the cross. So again, 3 elements serving the same meaning. Not to mention that even text is repeated, like the Saint Francois County that is written here on the outside is also visible here on this tiny map inside the logo. So I'm pretty sure that even without counting exactly the deep and surface propositions, we can clearly see that this logo is far less successful compared to the Obama campaign. But there are lots of other logos that has a great propositional density, like the current Airbnb logo, which even though is just a simple abstract shape, it actually refers to a lot of things like people, places, love, and also the letter A, which is the first letter of the name. So in this case, there are 2 surface propositions, the shape and the text, but we immediately can find these 4 deep propositions. So 4 divided by 2, we get 2 for propositional density, which once again is a brilliant achievement. And for a brand to be memorable and for people to be able to recognize it easily, the effectiveness heavily relies in the propositional density, for which, as we can see, one of the most important things is to keep your elements as simple or as less as possible. And there is a study called Branded in Memory, which shows how different brands are remembered by the general public. So here, for instance, we can see the Apple logo drawn from memory by more than 150 people, displayed in a way that we are getting the more accurate versions as we are getting to the bottom right, and we have the least accurate ones here on the top left. So the drawings are improving as we are making our way down to the bottom right corner. And there's also some additional interesting statistics here at the bottom, out of which probably the most interesting one is showing that the actual color of the logo is gray, while these are the colors that people used when they were drawing these logos. So even though most of the people used gray, there's also quite a lot of people who used black, and there were even some people using blue and red in their drawings. Now, definitely the most important number here is the percentage of how many people managed to draw a near perfect version of the logo, because that shows really well how memorable this logo is. And in case of Apple, it was 20%. Compared to that, the same exact study resulted in only 6% for near perfect drawings for Starbucks. and some really funny versions of the logo here on the top left corner. But the best performing logo in the study was Target with 25% near perfect drawings. That means 1 in 4 people managed to draw the logo from memory without making any mistakes. And even the colors and their proportions were almost perfectly matching the actual logo from all of these drawings. Now we can clearly see that propositional density plays a huge role in logo design, but the general lesson that we can learn from this is that thinking of surface and deep propositions is something we can also apply to any forms of design. So even when you are working on a brochure, a poster, a magazine, or a website, you should always question yourself whether you need to add that additional element and whether it is going to add any meaning to your design or make it easier for viewers to understand what they are seeing. So only introduce new elements when they are really important and when there is nothing already in the design that serves the same purpose. Getting the visual hierarchy right in your designs depends not only on prioritizing certain elements over others, but also on your ability to be able to judge which are the elements that you really need in the composition and which are the ones that you can leave out. Having easy access to cool features won't instantly make you a great designer. For that, you need to have a good understanding and solid foundation of the underlying theory of graphic design. And this is what has inspired me to put together my most comprehensive and accessible training series ever, covering everything you need to know about graphic design theory. 20 years of experience applying these theories in my work as a creative professional and teaching them to students around the world has helped me to come up with a unique approach, explaining everything without ever making you feel overwhelmed. This new series covers over 500 design principles, rules, and terms in an entirely visual way. We will analyze and compare real examples of print, web, and mobile designs to help you build a mental visual library of great compositions. By the end of this series, you will be able to recall lots of creative examples from memory. You will also master how to analyze designs and learn to ask the right questions when judging your own compositions. Whether you are a seasoned creative professional or just starting out as a graphic designer, you will find the courses in this series incredibly interesting, inspiring, and valuable. Boost your confidence by understanding how to make engaging, clear, and effective compositions, and learn the language of design in order to communicate with clients, printers, developers, and other creative professionals. You can also test or refresh your knowledge with creative exercises, quizzes, term glossaries, and design analysis worksheets. I hope you are just as excited as I am to get started and dive into the sea of knowledge and beautiful graphic design examples.